Hey everyone, my name's Rob. Welcome to my channel, Rob's Plants and Things, and today we are going to talk about my 2 plant essentials to avoid killing plants. So I get a lot of questions from friends and family, whether it's in person or over like text messages or whatever, on how to look after plants, and a lot of times people will send me pictures of plants asking what's wrong with it, and I just thought I'd, give my 2 cents worth. Literally, because there are 2 things that I can't live without when it comes to looking after plants, and this is it. So obviously there are specific things that specific plants need that you'll have to pay attention to, so like some anthuriums need more humidity than others, things like a pothos doesn't really need anything from you, and then things like an oxalis triangularis are like weeds and don't need anything from you. So this is more of like a when to water and what kind of like light to give it situation. So my first plant essential is light, and we know that plants need light to photosynthesize and survive, get energy, grow. And if a plant doesn't get light, it will some plants might be okay, but then most will probably die off anyway. And as someone who lived in an apartment that used to have absolutely no light, I actually started relying on artificial light quite a bit. So I started playing around a lot with grow lights and figuring out, what's best, what doesn't work, what is good close to a grow light, what's far away from a grow light. That is something that most people will find for themselves. But there is one essential that I absolutely love and I'm so excited to talk about. So recently SANSI got in touch with me, and I was really excited because in Australia, my whole apartment, if you'd ever seen my old apartment, you would have thought that I was crazy. I had grow lights in every corner of the apartment, shining into the center of the living room because I was in a 1-bedroom apartment, and all the grow lights were SANSI. And basically my whole apartment was like rainforest. I had a humidifier going, and then I had all the lights, and they were all on like 12-hour timers. So basically my plants just had good conditions all year round. And I used SANSI for every single one, and I got so excited because recently SANSI got in touch with me to ask me to try a product of theirs. And I didn't need to try it because I already have tried it. And they even asked me to do a review, and I told them I don't need to review it because I've already used it. So this is the grow light that SANSI did send to me, and I absolutely love this grow light. It is something that I used a smaller version in Australia. This is a huge version. It's like half my head, I think. And it is fantastic. And in order to show you how good it is, I'm actually going to show you a specific plant that I tested with a different grow light and then switched to this. So, let me get that plant. So this is my Anthurium clarinervium. And I had this, so this is sitting on a on a wall with 5 other plants in my living room, and it does get less humidity, but this is a plant that can take less humidity. And I got it, and I was so excited to get it, but the one thing that I was a bit about was that it didn't have, when I got it, as you can see, it didn't have the great veining that a lot of clarinerviums get. So I had this under a grow light. I'm not going to talk about which grow light it was, and this was the leaf that came out with the grow light. So as you can see, not super veiny, not super good. And I do know that with with plants like this, if you don't give it the best light, the contrast in the veining and all that is not going to be so spectacular. And then, so that was for a month under this, and then I switched to the SANSI one when they gave it to me, and this is the new leaf that came out. So a lot more like the clarinervium that you would normally see. So it brought out a lot, and honestly, it's not even fully hard enough yet. It's great. And it's a lot bigger than the other leaf as well. Look at that difference. So that was the previous leaf, and this is the new one. And so honestly, it's not the most scientific method, and I do like evidence-based stuff, but unfortunately I can't do my own research project on this. But I do know that the veining came out more obvious on this one. So I'm going to stick to that SANSI grow light for this set of plants. Yeah, that's super beautiful. Now obviously I'm not saying that you should buy this grow light or that you have to, but if you are looking for something that someone could recommend for you, this is a great grow light. I can attest to the fact that SANSI is great. They're a lot cheaper than other grow lights as well. A little bit more expensive than the journal ones you would find on Amazon, but better quality. I do have a discount code linked below, and I will leave a link to the grow light as well if you consider buying it. So my other plant essential is a moisture meter. Now, there are going to be people that are going to scoff at this and be like, ugh, you know, what a lazy way to water your plants and look after your plants. I don't care, because I used to overwater all the time because I couldn't tell what was moist with my finger. So when I first got into plants, people would tell me stick your finger all the way, I used to stick my finger all the way in because I like to overdo it. And if it's dry, water it. Guess what? Everything felt dry to me. Every single thing. I couldn't tell. And everyone has like a different kind of gauge, right? And so it just didn't work for me. And then I found out that there were things called moisture meters that would tell you how dry something is. And I know sometimes they can vary, I know, but it's a good base. It's a very good base. So what I do is I stick it in, and I usually stick it in like 4 different spots. One really close to the root ball and just like around the pot, and get a kind of average reading. And it depends on what plant I'm watering. So if I was watering my like tropical plants like my anthuriums or my monsteras or my philodendrons, I water when it hits 3. Sometimes anthuriums, if I'm being a bit paranoid, I will water when it's 4. But 3, I've discovered 3 is fine. Anthuriums actually, they can dry out a little bit, because they have chunky roots. And then I give it a thorough drink, and then that's it. There are other plants that I find can go a little bit further, so I use a moisture meter on my Hoyas because the pots are really small. I can't stick my finger in there. And I let that get to 1. If it's on a 2, I will wait the next day to water it again, to check it again, and water if it's dry. And then there are other plants like my cacti and my succulents. I do use the moisture meter just to check the soil, but normally I do wait till I see a little bit of wrinkling on the succulents and the leaves, so that's another way to tell. And the other thing is with peperomias, I wait till it's 1 as well, because peperomias can dry out. There is another use for this as well, and that is I trained my finger to be able to tell what was dry and what was moist with this. So every time I would stick it in, I would stick my finger in as far as well, and it would kind of show me it's kind of like training your senses to know how things feel, because I couldn't tell. I genuinely could not tell. I would stick my finger in and say it was dry, and then like my friends who are plant nerds and got me into the hobby would be like, yeah, no, that is wet. So this is a good training tool as well. And another thing is that because it is a stick that you poke into different spots in the soil, it helps aerate the soil as well, which sometimes you do need to do because soil can compact. So that's really good, especially if you haven't repotted your plant into like a chunky mix. A lot of my plants are in chunky mixes, but I do have plants in their original pot with the original soil, and those tend to compact a bit, so that's very useful for keeping this, for aerating the soil. Okay, there you have it. Those are my 2 essentials for looking after plants and making sure they don't die, basically. Once I started supplementing light and using the moisture meter, I found that I hardly, I honestly, I don't think I've killed anything in a while. Unless I've done something really stupid, like put it in like a really bad mix, or I've repotted it too soon after it's like been shipped to me. Other than that, everything's stable because of this. Like I have a set plan and everything's great. So if you are someone who struggles with keeping your plants alive, try these 2 things and see how you go. Alright, that's it from me. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.